The secretary said Thursday that 186,000 deceased men and women and children are getting a check through SNAP. 186,000 people. If that's true, that's an insane number. If you have to pay 42 million people to feed so that they don't starve to death, then we have a structural problem with our food and we need to fix it.
Go fix this. My taxpayer dollars should not be spent for this sort of fraud and abuse and taking it out of the mouths of families that really need the program.
SNAP recipients are now going to have to reapply. No more endless government benefits forever. You see, Politico is sharing this with us, saying that the new Department of Ag chief, Brooke Rollins, saying we're going to overhaul this program. There's a lot of fraud out there. And even on the SNAP website, you can see they list them. They've got recipient fraud. You must use your benefits as intended, okay? You can't take the money and then go sell it for other money and then go use that money to go buy things you're not allowed to buy. There's also retailer fraud, all right? So the benefits that are paid out to the recipients are spent fraudulently, but the people who are accepting them are also fraudulent, saying you can't do those things. There's also scams. Fraud occurs when criminals steal SNAP benefits for their own personal gain by card skimming, card cloning, and other scams. Lots of money, just like USAID and all of the other grift and graft that is found embedded in our government bureaucracy. It's everywhere in SNAP. And so those funds are going to have to be revalidated before they're handed out. Trump administration will require millions of low-income people to reapply for food stamps as part of an effort to crack down on fraud. She told that to Newsmax. I've got a clip coming up. Didn't provide further information about how or when, and I was trying to find some information on that on the website over there on Snap and couldn't see a whole lot on it. And actually, it's interesting. Obviously, I've never used the program, but here you can see you can actually apply. And when you go to apply, this is from USDA.gov. Let's say you want to go to California and apply for your benefits. What do? They send you over to the state application. So when people say, well, you know, the feds can't pay any money to illegals, just say, well, you go over to the states. The states are the ones that hand them out. That's the SNAP. Oh, go apply over here. Where are we now? We're at Benefits Cal. So we go to California, where they have a ton of illegal aliens over there. Apply for benefits, what to expect, 30 to 60 minutes, create an account. What type of documents do you need to upload? Proof of ID, proof of income, proof of expenses. Then we'll review your application. And how often are we going to do that? Are we going to do that every month? Are we going to do that once a year? Are we going to say you can, recertify, reapply every 6 months? What's the status check cadence that they'll be on? Her comment comes after funds of the SNAP program ran out of funding. SNAP fraud can occur when people lie about their qualifications. You have a small bank account. You're like, oh, look at this bank. This is my only bank account. I have $95 in there. And you send it in. But anti-hunger groups say that there's not nearly as much fraud as the Trump administration says, saying that SNAP only issues about $6 a day in benefits to the average participant. Yeah, times 42 million participants. State SNAP administrators already require participants to recertify every 6 months, and families that receive benefits are expected to keep their work history and other information up to date. So they didn't respond to a request for a timeline clarification or how is this new plan going to work. She said, well, we're overhauling it in the coming weeks. We've already directed states to turn in sensitive data on the participants, including their social security numbers and how many illegals are on it. The secretary said Thursday that 186,000 deceased men and women and children are getting a check through SNAP. 186,000 people. If that's true, that's an insane number. Federal officials and GOP lawmakers have been determined to show that they're taking wasteful spending seriously, and they implemented, wow, the one big beautiful bill, $186 billion slash to SNAP benefits. And this is really, I think, an existential problem for our entire country. It's if you have to fund and subsidize healthcare, then it's not affordable. And we have a structural problem with our healthcare system. If you have to pay 42 million people to feed so that they don't starve to death, then we have a structural problem with our food and we need to fix it. So I think we're seeing this pattern emerge time and time again. And now in the federal government, they're going to be putting pressure on the states again to get a handle on this. But why would California have any incentive to comply or do anything that would limit this program? They're a sanctuary state. They love illegal aliens there and they want us to pay for it. So just like they're flipped out, they shut the government down to stop us from removing subsidies for illegal aliens. Why would this be any different? In fact, it probably won't be. They'll probably continue to hand out federal dollars to illegal aliens in their state program. So here's more. This is Brooke Rollins over on Fox explaining how this whole thing's going to work.
Let's talk about the reopening of government. Secretary SNAP benefits flowing again after the 43-day shutdown left millions waiting for their November payments. What can you tell us about the resumption of business? The USDA said all eligible families getting their full benefits today, while the Trump administration announces an overhaul of that program. You're requiring every SNAP participant to reapply as part of a crackdown on fraud. You pointed out data from 29 states showing 186,000 deceased individuals were still receiving benefits, 120 people under arrest for fraud so far. On top of that, New York requirements and a $186 billion budget cut also taking effect. So what? Somebody died and their heirs started receiving their SNAP benefits? Secretary, what happened?
It's just incredible.
Voting,
and,
too.
Within the first hour of me being sworn in February, this was one of my very first things that we did. We sent a letter to every state. We said business as usual is over. The status quo is no more. We know that the SNAP program is rife with fraud, but it's all anecdotal. This was last February, that we have no data. How is it true that the taxpayers through the federal government fund this $100 billion program every single year, but we don't even know whether it's being done correctly, what the accountability looks like? We want that data ourselves. As I mentioned, 29 states complied, mostly the red states. And what we have found since we started getting that data late spring of this year is just stunning. As you mentioned, 186,000 deceased individuals receiving benefits, 500,000 people getting more than 2 times the benefit. So they're getting it in one place and then they're getting it in another place. The same person. We found thousands of individuals that were getting benefits in 3 to 4 or 5, 6 different states. I mean, it is one thing after another. And this is just from the red states. Can you imagine when we get through litigation and we get that data from California, New York, Oregon? We know under Biden, the program increased 40%. Of course, we believe they were trying to buy the election by pushing more and more money out without any accountability. So this is what we're trying to bring under control. And listen, we always knew it was going to be a really big deal. We knew that it was stunning what was happening. But what the shutdown did, that sort of unintended consequence of the Democrats shutting down the government over the last 43, 45 days,
Audit everything.
is that one of their favored programs is now in the eye of the average everyday American who says this is not okay. Go fix this. My taxpayer dollars should not be spent for this sort of fraud and abuse, and taking it out of the mouths of families that really need the program. There are vulnerable families in America that need this program that aren't getting it because of the fraud and the abuse that now we're going to work to fix.
Unbelievable. I mean, at a minimum, it's embarrassing that nobody looked at this.
Yeah, it's 42 million people. Those numbers were shocking to me. I thought, well, there's, a couple million people on it. 42? That's such a huge percentage of our country. It doesn't bode well for our future.